Welcome to this episode of Chat with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got Anthony. What's up, man?
What's going on? How we doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time.
Hell yeah.
So, where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in California, but lived pretty much most of my life in the Hudson, Nashua, New Hampshire area.
How did you go from California over to New Hampshire?
My mom and dad were married at a younger age out there, and then they had moved to South Carolina where my dad was, and then my mom left my dad from South Carolina up to New Hampshire, and this is where pretty much where I've been most of my life.
What's it been like growing up?
Um, Not bad, probably decent life, you know. Met my dad when I was in my 20s. I was raised by my stepdad. Not a bad life, you know.
Were you getting into trouble at all?
Maybe a little bit growing up, you know, here and there, you know. I was basically like the black sheep of my family, I guess you could say. My sister did good in school. I did decent. I graduated high school. I did a little bit of college here and there, but for the most part, you know, I got in my fair share of trouble off and on throughout life, you know, and then in my 30s, late 30s, I joined the Hells Angels.
And what was it like joining the Hells Angels? I mean, so how did you even
I
get
mean,
introduced to the Hells Angels?
well, it started off, I was a bouncer at a nightclub, you know, just doing security. And one of their support clubs, the Chieftains, would come in regularly. And I ran into those guys and got along with those guys. And then I ended up hanging out with them. And I actually started off by joining them. You know, I met them, and then I was interested in like how they were as like a group, you know, the brotherhood, you know. So I hung out with them, and I got a Harley. Before that, I rode like, you know, street bikes and enduros and stuff. And
Yeah.
then I bought a Harley. My first ever Harley was a Sportster, and I went with them. And I'm a big dude, so my Sportster, I look like a damn gorilla football, you know. Um,
Were people with you because you had a Sportster?
oh, they used to all the time. They're like, dude, you it looks like a gorilla football when I see you going down the road. I was on a 1200, and then you know, I just towards like the end of my prospecting, I ended up getting a Dyna,
That's
and
what I got. I got a
yeah,
Dyna.
I had a Dyna lowrider, and I rode that towards the end of prospecting with the Chieftains. I prospected 9.5 months with them, and then I ended up becoming a member. And of course, I got introduced to Hells Angels as a prospect of the sport club. You know what I mean? You know, I became a member, and then I just as time went on, which I wasn't even a member more than maybe 8 months of the Chieftains, and I was like, you know what, I want more. You know what I mean? I want to be able to go places. You know, because the
Yeah.
Chieftains, I mean, we could go to Norway because there's a charter in Norway, you know, and there's the mother charter in Massachusetts, but then and I was in New Hampshire, but I was like, man, I want more, you know, and I got along with some of the Hells Angels, so I just decided to step up, and I went Nomads, New Hampshire.
You're with this other club. What's the process like? Do you go up to a Hells Angels, say, listen, I want to try to start joining you guys?
Well,
Like
what
what
I
was
did is there was guys that were in other support clubs that I had prospected with that I came up with,
Yeah.
and they ended up, you know, stepping up with the Nomads in New Hampshire, and I seen them at a Halloween party that, you know, was hosted by one of the in-state charters, 81 charters, and all us support club guys would go to those parties. So I seen them there, and I took them aside, and I just had said, hey man, what's it like? You know, is it as bad as people say it is? Like, is it as extreme as it is? You know what I mean? Like, what are the rules, you know? And
Yeah.
he's like, well, if you're really, he's like, it hasn't been too bad, you know? I mean, it's wintertime. We're not too super busy, you know? We don't do too much, you know? We could just help out around the clubhouse and stuff. He said, if you want, I could talk to the president, you know, and, you know, see how you come up, talk to him and see what he says. So that weekend I went up and I hung out with them. I talked to the president. You know, I was like, hey, I'm really interested. You know, I want to do more. I'm interested in the brotherhood, really. You know, that's why I joined the Chieftains. And he said, well, all you got to do is go to your club and, you know, drop your and tell them you're stepping up. You know, and they shouldn't have a problem. If they do, you let us know, but they shouldn't have a problem with you leaving to come to us.
Walk me through the day that you go to the support club and tell them you want to step up and be a Hells Angel.
All right. So basically, I just, you know, it was like a meeting, a regular meeting that we would have. I just, during our meeting, I said, hey, you know, when it came around to be me, You know, I mean, I basically took one of the guys aside and said, "Hey, I got some important information I got to talk about, like right off." You know, so they came to me and they brought me in the room and they go, what do you got, Anthony?" I said, "Well, I'm dropping my stuff. I'm step up to be a nomad." Of course, they're like, "You understand what you're doing?" Like, I go, "Yeah, I talked and I just want more. I got nothing against you guys. You guys will always be my brothers. This is where I got my start, but I want more." And they said, "Well, hey, good luck." And then I dropped my stuff, and they let me sit in for the rest of the meeting, because I've been with them, And then,
Yeah.
but then that was it. Then I went on to become a Hell's Angel.
So did you have to hang around first before you got your prospect patch?
I did not because I came like because they obviously did their homework. They talked to like one of the guys from Lowell had known me, one of the members there, he had known me, and then one of the guys in my charter had known like the president of my charter for a long time because he grew up around them and stuff. So I didn't, and since I was in a prospect club, I didn't have to, like a support club, I guess you could say. So I
So
became a prospect right off the rip and started my time November. It was November of 2018.
so you walk in, it's the beginning of winter, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And they hand you a prospect cup.
yep.
Now, what does it feel like when you put on the cup?
It's pretty amazing, man. You know what I mean? Like I mean, it was a lot of work. I won't kid you. You know what I mean? I mean, it was a lot of work in to prospect for the Chieftains. It was a lot of work to do that. I dedicated basically my whole life to it. Like I was at the clubhouse all the time. Anytime a member needed me, I was available. And then I just transferred all that to the Hells Angels. Did the same thing. I gave them my life. I was always available, and anytime a member was traveling, I would say, "Hey, I want to go." You know,
Did you have a family at the time, and did you have a job?
I did. I had a full-time job. I was married. I have two boys that are now actually 12 and 18. Um, and I was married, but the life isn't exactly easy if you don't know how to balance. So I ended up divorced. I still talk to my ex-wife and stuff. I see my kids on a regular basis still.
Was it the strain of being in the club that like took a toll on your relationship?
I think it was like because when I was prospecting, I said, "Hey, when I'm done prospecting, I won't have to go to everything. I won't have to do all of this." But I didn't really think about it fully, I guess you could say, in my head, because like as a prospect, you go and you stand outside, like you stand at a burn barrel, you stand at a gate. You're not allowed inside the clubhouse to enjoy the parties and festivities and stuff like that. You're basically security at events. You know what I mean? Like you stand in front of the gate, stand in front of the clubhouse, whatever. Or you work inside the clubhouse. You know what I mean? Helping out the members and then so then when I became member, it was like, well, now you know what I mean. I get to enjoy everything. Like, you know what I mean? So, and like doing the traveling and like I get to be inside and I get to do all the good stuff. So it's basically I became member and like then I just went ever. I was still never home.
How long did it take you to become a member?
I was a year and 2 weeks.
Now, what was it like? Walk me through the day that you get your patch.
It was it was like a typical meeting or whatever, except they brought us in and basically just said, "Hey, you're a Hell's Angel member now. You're no longer a prospect." And they basically told us, what now was expected of us, and like there's like a probationary type period as a new brother.
Oh, so even though you're a full patch member, you still are on like a probationary period.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because you're still a new member until you make like a year. You know what I mean? You're considered a new member, and like, if I mean, you could fuck up, but like, which I didn't think was possible. How you fuck up being a 1%er, right?
Yeah. I mean, depends on how you look at it, right?
Yeah. But
Now,
at that point, then I represented my charter. You know what I mean? Like I represented them as a prospect, but now I represent them as a member. You know what I mean?
did people treat you different once you got your patch?
Yeah. They definitely get like treated, you get treated differently as a prospect for a Hells Angels motorcycle club. You know what I mean? Like the 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 support clubs treat you different. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the guys I prospected with and I was like members with of like the sport clubs, they treat you differently because like now you're the cream of the crop, you're the top of the chain. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then as becoming a Hells Angel member, like people want to buy you drinks, people want to like do stuff with you, they want to hang out with you. Like I don't know, like they think like you're their best friend or something, and if they get in trouble or something, they can come to you or something. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know, right? There's like a mythology about members
Yeah.
of the Hells Angels. And
Yeah.
do you see that? Like people are attracted to that, right?
Oh yeah. Well, like women are attracted to that more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess it carries like a bad boy image. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, is there a rule with tattoos once you become a member?
Well, I think what it was is if you had ink, there was a tattoo you had to get, like the club tattoo you had to get. But like if you didn't have ink, you weren't like required to get it, you know? And then like my charter, there was no rules as far as any other club tattoos. Like my charter, like each charter has like their different rules and stuff as far as that goes. But yeah, so you had to get the one like the charter ink. You know what I mean? You have to get that within 24 hours of becoming a member. You know what I mean? So I got like that the next day. I went and got that tattoo, but they didn't really do too many rules otherwise. And then of course, me being all full in whatever, you know, I was 8 months into the club. We went to a run, and I went and got death heads on the side of my head.
That's what you have. That's what you
Yeah, I
have.
have huge. They're right on the side of my head.
Wow. So how many club tattoos did you end up getting?
Boy, the one on my forearm, which was the original, the two on the side of my head, one on my hand, and then above both eyebrows.
Wow, that's commitment, man.
Yeah. And I got them all like within the first so many years of being in the club.
What were people saying to you when you guys did that?
Well, at first it was like I remember there were a lot of members like when I was getting these ones done because I did them at a run. It was one of the it was like it was like a mixture of like our South and our USA because we didn't have a USA that year because of COVID. Um, so I ended up getting these in a hotel room, like a day or two before we were actually leaving the run from one of the brothers. I got them done both back to back. And I come out and there was one brother, he'd been in the club, probably at least 5, 10 years. He's like, bro, you realize like a lot of guys, like they just would sit me down. One guy would always sit me down and be like, you realize, like the average lifespan of Hell's Angels is only like 3.5 years. A lot of guys like, you know what I mean, get kicked out or leave or whatever under 5 years.
But you're thinking, I'm gonna stay in this for life, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I was all for it. You know what I
You're
mean? I didn't think
committed.
I could. I
You're
was
committed.
committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was all about it. You know what I mean? Like I did a ton of traveling when I was in the club. You know what I mean? I was in California a lot. I went down south. I was in the Midwest. I mean, I didn't have a passport, so I couldn't go overseas, which I would have loved to have done, but I never got that opportunity.
So do you have any situations when you were out on your travels that happened that maybe stand out to you?
Uh, I would say California a lot. I mean, California and down south. Like I got really close. I was really close with a lot of brothers down in like South Carolina, southern part of the states, and then out west. Like I mean, I just it came on me. You know what I mean? Like being born out there. You know what I mean? It was almost like I got a draw out there. You know what I mean? It was just they were
Yeah.
more laid back. They were chill.
So California is a different animal, right?
Yeah, way different animal. It's like I mean the brothers out there are like laid back, like and I mean they're chill. They're like things are a little bit slower in a way. You know what I mean? Like it's not as fast paced as the East Coast,
Yeah.
but they were just very welcoming. You know what I mean?
Do you see any fights when you're in the club and traveling around?
I guess you could say you see them every once in a while. Like not to talk too much about stuff.
Did you get into any fights?
Oh yeah, I had I mean, because as Hell's Angel, you know what I mean? Like you can't let anybody disrespect you, even your fellow brothers, you know what I mean? If a brother gets loud with you or whatever, or he's just disrespectful in any way, I mean, you gotta handle your business, you know what I mean? Like so you handle it and you say, hey, let's go, and and it's old school. You know what I mean? It's like no, there's no weapons, there's no you know what I mean? There's no weapons, no rings, nothing. You know what I mean? It's literally like a typical old fashioned fucking bare knuckle boxing match, basically. You know what I
I mean,
mean? And
that's cool though, right?
yeah, all the brothers, you know what I mean? They make sure it doesn't get out of hand. You know what I mean? If you end up falling down, they make sure everybody gets up and it's back to, going at it,
I mean, settle your differences in a positive
Exactly.
manner.
Right. 100%. You know what I mean? Brother disrespect you, you tell them, all right, let's fucking go. And you go until either somebody quits or somebody gets knocked the fuck out.
And you guys are both you shake each other's hand and you move on after,
Afterwards,
right?
you shake, you hug, and that's it. It's done issue.
Now, do you find that people are testing you at bars and things?
Oh yeah, people get a little pushy, especially once they get that liquid courage in them. You know what I mean? A lot of Hells Angels don't really drink too much, just because, like, you know what I mean. You got to be on your game. You never know when somebody might walk into the bar from the other side or something. You know, so you got to be ready. But yeah, people size you up and go, oh, I could take him out. Or he ain't that bad, or it's that liquid courage, though. You know what I mean? Like, people get a little too tipsy. They don't think right.
Have you been out and got caught up by the other side?
I've had my fair share of run-ins, like being on the bike riding or whatever, and then I've seen the other side occasionally here and there, but I've never actually like I never got my chance to get my filthy few, I guess you could say.
I mean, you being from Vermont and then you going out
New
to
Hampshire.
California or New Hampshire, there's different politics and
Yeah.
different
Well, there's different
enemies,
bigger
you would
clubs.
say, right?
Yeah.
Different bigger
Yeah.
clubs that aren't over here, or maybe
Right.
they are now. I don't know, but you don't see them type of people out here. So you go to
Right.
California, all of a sudden you got your enemies with these people, and you don't even know them.
Right. I didn't really see too much of the other side of it. I mean, I don't know whether it was just quiet when I was out there or what, but yeah, I never really had too many run-ins with the other side.
No, what about funerals? How many funerals have you been to as a member?
I lost count, man. I've been to way too many funerals.
Can you walk me
Really can't.
through?
I really couldn't. I really couldn't tell you how many, to be honest. I did so much traveling, and it was either a funeral or a party or a meeting that I was
More
going to
more
when I
than
was
10.
traveling.
More than 10?
More than 10, yeah.
Can you walk me through what it's like to be at a Hell's Angel funeral?
It's I mean, I as much as like I don't enjoy like having to bury someone and say goodbye to someone. I enjoyed going to I enjoyed going to the funerals just because of like the camaraderie, like all the brothers coming together, and like, I mean, like if I didn't know the brother, I would still go, and like I would learn about that brother while I was there from his brothers and other brothers that were close to him. Being especially as a new member, I mean, I probably went to at least 3 or 4 of my first years of Hell's Angels. You know what I mean?
First
And
year?
first year, yeah.
In all kinds of ways that they died, right?
Yeah, all kinds of natural ways, not natural ways, like, you know, accidents, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. A lot of probably more accidents, like maybe not more accidents, like more like it was kind of 50-50, like accidents and like natural causes.
Or the other side getting them, right? Was there a
I didn't go
lot of
to
funerals
didn't go
that
to
way?
too many. I didn't go to too many of those, actually. I don't know if I went to any of those, to be honest. While I was in the club, there was a little bit of that stuff going on, but not a lot of that stuff going on when I was in the years I was in the club. You know what I mean?
What year did you become a Hell's Angel?
November of 2019.
Wow, so it was not that long ago, basically, right?
Right. Yeah.
So how long were you in the support club for?
I was prospect for 9.5 months, and I was a member for 8 months. And then I was a Hell's Angel prospect for a year and 2 weeks. And then I was a member for about 4.5 years.
I mean, you were right in that 5-year range, right?
Yeah.
But you never thought you would ever leave this club.
No, I was committed. I was 100% all for it. You know what I mean? Like, I loved it.
Was there any signs where you were maybe thinking, maybe this isn't for me?
Well, I think more of like I was trying to go somewhere else. Like the Northeast wasn't for me. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like I had brothers that I was like cool with, you know what I mean? But there was a lot of like like I didn't click a lot with my guys, I guess you could say. Like I did, but I didn't. You know what I mean? There were some guys in my charter that weren't exactly my biggest fan. You know what I mean? And then there was that I was cool with, or at least I thought I was cool with. You know what I mean? And then towards the end there, I really was if trying. Oh, I really was trying to go somewhere else. I was trying to transfer to another charter where I was closer with guys, and it was a different, mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that type of stuff happens everywhere, right?
Yeah, it does. It can, you know what I mean? Like, but it just seemed more like I was always under like scrutiny, I guess you could say, in my charter.
Like, what, always getting in trouble, or they single you out for things?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, didn't like that I was loud. Didn't like that I was, say, on the internet or posting things on the internet or having all the patches I would have on my vest, because at one point I had like rockers all over my vest, you know what I mean, and I was getting the tattoos and stuff, and it just didn't agree with a lot of the guys in my charter. And then I honestly I think there was jealousy there, to be honest, like because of the relationships I had out west versus on the east coast of my charter.
Did you ever think about transferring out west?
That's what I was in the process of doing that before I got kicked out.
Oh, so eventually they end up kicking you out.
Yeah,
We'll get
I
to
didn't
that.
leave. I didn't leave on good terms.
Yeah, we'll get to that. When you're out on runs and things, what about crashes? Was there a lot of crashes?
You had your fair share every once in a while, like idiots that don't know how to ride, and like the sport clubs, or that's really what it was. You had guys that really just couldn't ride the way we were riding. You know what I mean? And they'd end up causing an accident.
And how do they ride out in New Hampshire? The Hells Angels.
Well, I mean, they ride similar to everywhere else, except you know what I mean. Obviously, in the Northeast, splitting lanes isn't legal like it is out west. But you know, again, I got my I ride hard and fast and would just ride wild regardless. You know what I mean? I just once I started riding, you know what I mean? I just got a hang of it, and then that was it. It was balls to the walls all the time. And then I got a hint of splitting lanes when I went out west, and then that was it. My whole riding style changed completely altogether, and it was all to a whole new level again. You know what I mean? Like even more. But and I would do that. I brought that out here, and I would do that out here mainly when I'm by myself because a lot of I mean, it seems like a lot of brothers are, I don't know, whether it's they don't want to get in trouble or they don't want to cause attention or something. They don't ride, say, the way they do out west. Out west, there's charters out west, man. They don't give a they just, you know what I mean? They live the 1% life and they ride like they don't, you know what I mean? That's how it is. They are 1%ers. They don't give, they don't follow the laws and the rules, whatever. We ride the way we want to ride, and ain't nobody gonna tell us otherwise. And then here on the East Coast, it's not completely like that.
They got to watch out for the police because they're another question I have is the police. How were the police after you started getting involved with these clubs? Were they ever messing with you?
All the time. I mean, I remember I was riding reckless on my bike one time, or they call it reckless. I was just riding, you know what I mean? And I got hit with a reckless conduct on my bike because they said I was running from them. I never saw them, and I was just splitting lanes and going 100 plus on the highway and trying to make it to an appointment. And then it finally, as I was going to, get off of one highway to get on another, that's when I saw the blues, and I went to pull over, and they pulled guns on me.
You're like, what the?
I
Now
was
this
just riding.
is in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
Oh man. So what happens?
they they pulled their guns on me and they called backup, and I got arrested for reckless.
Then they probably put your picture all over the newspaper, right?
No, I never made it in the newspaper. I mean, I'm sure I made it on to like maybe like their website or something, but it wasn't like crazy, crazy. You know what I mean? Like Not like people make out to be like in TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do the police follow you guys around and stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you see more of the feds. Really, you know the feds are there. They're watching all the time, especially big runs. And they don't even hide it at big runs. They make it nonchalant. They're sitting there with tripods and everything, taking pictures.
You were thinking about transferring out to California, right?
Yep.
So what was the reason you wanted to transfer, and what happened next? Was anything going on at that time around your area?
Well, it wasn't like so much anything going around. Just like I had a better connection with the brothers out there, and I wanted to go out west. I wanted to get away from the weather out here, and just I liked it better out there. I had I had a better, I don't know, I felt like I got along better with the brothers out there, I guess you could say, versus the brothers in my own charter.
And when did things start going bad for you?
Just well, I mean, it wasn't so much bad in the beginning. I just wanted to go south. I wanted to get away from New England weather. I wanted to be able to ride year round and not be cold.
Yeah.
Because living in New England, it gets cold 6 months out of the year.
But eventually you get booted out, right?
Yeah, I got kicked out for fucking. They said I lied about borrowing money from a coalition member because
So
I had to pay back money for money that was gifted to me from the coalition for lawyers' fees.
what's a coalition?
That's the like support clubs.
Oh, like what you were before.
Yeah, it's like the club. It's it's the club that I was in before is one of the coalition clubs.
So what? When you have a problem, they help you guys out.
Right.
So did you get arrested while you were a member?
I did. I got arrested for stuff that wasn't really tied to the club. It was stuff of my own doing.
So when you get arrested for something of your own doing, does the club pay for your lawyer fees and all that, or no?
No, it only if it's like club involved. Like if like if you happen to get in trouble while you were running with the club, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, something club involved, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, like if you're at the gas station, it pops off and everybody's,
Right.
like all the stuff that's happened in the past, right?
Yeah.
So now, when you're in the club, by this time, Sonny Barger has already passed away, right?
Yep. He had just passed away prior to me getting kicked out and then trying to transfer out to California.
So, is there any situations that happen while you're in the club, major situations that you can explain to me, whether it was in your area or another state? Any
I
crazy
mean,
situations?
there was stuff that allegedly happened, in like Massachusetts or Rhode Island or whatever while I was in. I wasn't there, so I really can't speak on it, you know.
Yeah.
But there was stuff that happened.
So if something happens, right? Say the club is beefing with another club, and say something happens in a close state around. Do they tell you guys don't go out, wear your cuts, and things like that?
No, no, or Hell's Angels.
I mean,
It-
that's what you do, right? You wear your cut
I mean, that's
everywhere
what the
you
other
go.
guys. That's what the other guys do. Like, I mean, you get in trouble if you're a Hell's Angel and you're riding somewhere and you take off your cut and then ride somewhere, like put away your cut. That's unbecoming of a Hell's Angel.
Yeah, you can't
Like you
hide
don't.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
you don't hide who you are. You know what I mean? Like I flew a bunch of places. You know what I mean? And I wore my cut on the plane.
did you hear of anyone getting their cuts taken?
Not anybody in my club getting their cuts taken from the other side, but I've heard of other guys' cuts being taken, like other clubs.
Anyone from the support club get their cuts taken?
Not while I was around. Not by like the other side. It's
People,
happened in the past. I've heard about it. I've heard of like guys, go into the bar and there'll be a female there and they'll get too comfortable with that female and that female was basically sent by the other side and then they get jumped by the other side and get their shit taken.
I've heard a wild story about a female setting a guy up and then beating the shit out of this dude, and she lured him outside the back of the bar,
Yeah.
30 guys came. 30
Yeah.
guys came around, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" And he was only a prospect.
Yeah, I've heard of similar. Yeah.
You haven't heard of anyone getting their cuts taken, or did they ever test you with your cut where they hide it from you or anything like that?
No, not in the Hell's Angels. I mean, not when I was around. I've never heard anybody doing that like when in the Hell's Angels. Like, I mean, that it's like a respect thing. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to worry about your vest around your brothers. You know what I mean?
What about social media? Is there a rule about social media?
I got in plenty of trouble for posting stupid shit online there, or they said it was stupid shit. I didn't feel like it was stupid shit, but they said it was stupid.
Like
Just
what?
like at one point, well, I was eating a Twinkie and I posted a picture of the wrapper and I got
Why?
scolded for it.
And you were already a member.
I was already a member.
You got scolded for posting a Twinkie wrapper.
Yeah.
That's very odd. I mean, so is there a rule? Do they tell you to no posting online?
They don't say no posting. They tell you to be strategic. You know what I mean? Because everybody's watching. You're under the limelight. You know what I mean? Pretty much. Like you represent the club. That was their biggest thing is you represent this club. You represent this charter. You know, like I remember at one point, I don't know if it was the year I got kicked out or it was the year prior. The dude from Outlaw Archives had taken some of the pictures off of my profile and he was posting me online, but he was saying I was a brother from Purdue, not from my charter. Like he obviously didn't know that I wasn't the brother from Purdue.
He didn't know that.
No, he was posting me up like I was the brother from Purdue and putting all these like comments and like there was a bunch of stuff that was posted like of other charters and stuff, and he was trying to make fun of members and like that. And I ended up getting scolded for that, and they wanted me to get rid of my Facebook. And
Outlaw Archives, he's a problem, right?
yeah,
Like, how do you feel about him having memorabilia from the club, like cuts and all this artwork? I think that belongs to the club.
yeah, it absolutely belongs to the club. But you know, he obviously buys it from someone. They purchase it from somewhere, and then it basically is property. And but it's not. But he you know, he's kind of untouchable, I guess you could say.
People don't know, but that's not his property.
Well, yeah, obviously people don't understand that that's not his property.
No, I'm not saying it's the club's property, but it's not his property. He's buying it for someone else.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's a money backer in back of him, and he's just the face of it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, people don't know that, but I do.
They're gonna know now.
Yeah. Yep. He's just the face of it, and he acts like he owns all this. He don't own damn near any of it.
No shit.
Yeah.
He just puts it on display and is the face of it.
I heard a lot of crazy things about that guy that he's done to people. He's
shit.
posted recorded phone calls with members of that club, of the Hells
Yeah,
Angels.
just recently I saw a video. He posted of a dude, his wife, he called the cops.
His wife, he said his wife called for him or something, right?
Right. But then
So
I guess hits him on the phone.
He posted in the comments, it said he won't stop until these two members are out bad.
No shit.
From California. He said that they threatened some 80-year-old friends of his, and he won't stop until they're out bad. Like, it's pretty wild, man. Like, I don't know. You don't have that type of power. I mean, maybe he's trying to, but he erased that post with the phone call. He erased it.
Who, our archives did?
Yeah, off his.
I just saw that recently too.
I checked his Instagram. It's not there.
Well, I must have seen it just before he deleted it then.
Yeah, a couple days ago. He deleted it probably a couple days ago, maybe 2 days ago. Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Right on.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But I don't know. So he took the pictures off of your page and posted it on his.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking.
Yeah, he was talking about like the club, like pretending that I was the brother from Purdue, and then like put like these like sayings out there. I don't remember what they said, but like it was like aimed towards like trying to like belittle us or something.
That's crazy because I mean he's trying to be the historian of that club. I don't know
Right, but
why
then
he would have this animosity towards them.
that guy's out there.
Obviously. But I don't know. He I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in possession of any of that stuff. I believe it belongs to the club. Anything with
Yeah,
a death head on it or it says Hell's
right.
Angels like that, even former members or passed away members, it should
And
be.
that's the problem. That's the problem. What happens is the brother passes away and the family's got it, and then they don't know what to do with it. Like they don't know who to get a hold of or something. You know what I mean?
Or the guy's old, right? And he's
Yeah,
wants to be remembered for his legacy and he gives it up to him and gets some money or something, right?
maybe. I don't know. I haven't heard of anything like that. I've heard he's just like they come across it, or well, actually, what I heard is he bought a bunch of stuff off some of those raids that happened out in California.
How what bought it from the police?
Like he was trying to. I don't know if he was succeeded, but I know he was trying to after they raided some of the clubhouses.
You would think that when they raid clubhouses or things like that, they destroy that type of stuff, right?
No, they still have stuff. I know it. From what I understand, there's a brother's bike on display at the FBI headquarters
What?
that they got from a raid of some sort.
That's crazy. Now, was there any raids or anything happen while you were a part of the club?
None that I was a part of, but there were raids that happened. Like it didn't happen like say at my clubhouse or whatever. You know what I mean? It didn't happen at my house.
There was no drama there when you were a part of the club or anything at the
There
clubhouse?
was always drama.
What
There's
about
always drama.
anything you could talk about?
Well, I mean, what I could talk about is the drama I'm having now that
Walk
I'm
me
out of the club.
walk me through the day that they come to you and you got to give them the patch.
Well, I had an incident that I was told I had to take care of, and they were taking my patch for certain stuff. They weren't exactly specifically clear on why they were taking my patch and putting it in a box. I was being disciplined. I had to take care of certain things like paying back money that I owed. I had borrowed X amount of money. I had so much money. I had so much money that I was able to get together out of checks, whatever, to pay back what I owed. And then I was under the impression once I did pay back all the money that I owed, that I would get my patch back. You know what I mean? And I would no longer be in a box. So that's when I had ended up borrowing the money from a member of a coalition, a brother from a coalition club. I borrowed the money from him. I didn't borrow it from his charter. You know what I mean? I didn't go to the charter and try to push him around or anything. Like he let me borrow the money so that I could, you know, pay back what I owed. And then I had was paying him back.
And then what?
And
He told somebody.
well, he didn't tell anybody. I was texting him, and another brother was working for him and happened to was looking over his shoulder and seeing the text messages and tried to get him to send the text messages, but he wouldn't. And then the brother brought it to the table, and that's what I ended up getting kicked out
So you
for
tried
borrowing
to
money.
borrow, or did he let you borrow the money?
He let me borrow the money.
So you took that money and paid back the other guys that you owed.
The chart, yeah,
Yeah, so now you owe this other guy, and it has nothing to
right,
do with anybody.
right,
And they brung you to the table for that. And walk me
right.
through the day you get that call and you walk in.
So I go up because it was our usual time of meeting during the week, and we go and they called me in, and they said
Is your
they
patch still in the box?
yeah, it was still in a box, and I was thinking I was going to get it back that day. Instead, they kicked me out that day. They said they came to a vote and decided that there was that I lied and they were kicking me out.
What did you lie about, though?
They said I lied about borrowing the money from the coalition. Like basically, they asked if I borrowed it from the coalition club. I said no, I didn't borrow it from the coalition club, but I didn't say who I borrowed it from. I didn't say I
Yeah,
borrowed it from anybody. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And they said, well, that's basically beating around the bush. You're lying. You did borrow it from a coalition. You borrowed it from a coalition brother, but
I
that's not
get
what
it.
they had asked. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It was like a twisting of the thing. You know what I mean?
because you didn't go to the club as a whole and say, "Let me borrow this money." You were talking to this guy, one of your friends, right?
Yeah, that was in one of the other coalition clubs.
Damn. Do you wish you would have borrowed the money from someone else?
I tried borrowing it from brothers in my charter. No one would let me borrow the money.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah.
Your own brothers won't let you borrow money to pay back.
And then they said that afterwards. They said, well, why didn't you come to one of us? But I wasn't going to name any names of who I asked, you know what I mean, at the table, because I'm not a rat, you know what I mean?
It's I don't know. It's just weird. So what happens? Do you just say okay and then
I mean, I wasn't just okay. I said it was bullshit, whatever, and I had to get of them all my member gear back.
so you gave them everything and what about the tattoos?
The tattoos I was supposed to take care of, like I was supposed to get them covered or whatever.
And they're huge. Your tattoos are huge.
Yeah, I did some work. I sat in the chair for like 8 hours and got as much as I could without as much as I could deal with. And then I sent pictures and said, "This is what I got. If this isn't enough, come get me."
So
Or
did you
was
get
sitting in a chair.
Yeah, that's a lot to get done.
Yeah, because I mean, I
So,
have my forearm, my hand, both sides of my head, my eyebrows.
but you got the eyebrows and the sides of your head done
Well,
and
I didn't get rid of one. This one I kept because they didn't really like it anyways. So I said, "Kid, I wasn't covering it." This one I covered this for the most part. It still says Nomads on my head, and then I still have probably 3/4 of this death head over here. I just blacked out the face, and then my hand, you can see it's, you know what I mean. You can see it's still technically basically a death head, but just dude added some flowers or whatever.
do you regret getting the tattoos?
I don't regret. I don't regret getting the tattoos. I don't regret joining the club. You know what I mean? I had a great time in the club. I regret trusting certain individuals that I thought were really my brothers that said that they'd never let me get kicked out. They'd give me the option to leave before putting me out.
Now, are you out good or out bad?
No, I'm out bad
Why are you out bad?
because I lied about borrowing that money.
So this is your whole life, right? At one
Yeah,
point, you're with these guys every day, and then all of a sudden, boom, no contact. What's
yeah,
that like?
sucks. It sucks that all of a sudden, like, no one really talks to you. I mean, there were a few brothers here and there that talked to me. You know, there were certain brothers, you know, out west that still talk to me, down south that still talk to me. But and 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 for a little bit, the Sarge from my charter had stayed in touch with me, but because I still had, you know what I mean, they knew I still had member gear left, you know, because I never stayed in one spot. Like I lived here, I lived there, you know what I mean? Like I lived at my mom's, I lived with my ex-wife, you know what I mean? I lived with a girlfriend, you know what I mean? So I had shit everywhere, you know. And when I found, I'd go to bring it to him. And then there was one time last year I was trying to meet up with him, and he uh he started being a dick. You know what I mean? He was like, "This is enough, Anthony, da da da, this and that." Started calling me names and saying I was the one guy, he was the one guy that I had it good with, that, you know what I mean, that protected me or whatever in the club or whatever he wanted to say. I ended up calling him out, and then dude been ducking me ever since. Last
Is there
week, last Thursday was the last time I called him out. Actually, I called him out. I said, "Hey, mother," because I gave him everything. I finally gave him everything last year. I put it in a bag just before I lost my license, because I lost my license for a year. I put it in
Damn.
a bag. I dropped it off at one of the brothers' works because he wasn't coming to get it because he said he was coming to get it. Never came to get it. And then last Thursday, I wasn't doing nothing. And there were a couple times he sent me texts or whatever saying he was watching me, whatever, see me riding my Huffy or whatever, but didn't stop to say hi or whatever. And I hit him up and he was supposed to meet me. He said he was going to be at a such and such a place. I told him I was a 5-10 minute walk over the bridge, you know, because I got to walk everywhere. I ain't got no license. You know what I mean? He's got a truck,
Yeah.
whatever. He said he was going to meet me. And I said, all right, well, let me know. I'm only 5-10 minutes away. He said, all right, start walking. So I started walking across the bridge, went over there. I sat in Nashua for an hour and a half waiting for this dude to show up. Never showed up. My phone started dying. So I sent him a text, said, hey, I got to go home and charge my phone before it dies. You know what I mean? If you're going to show up. Went home, charged it, and I got a text that he was at a restaurant over the bridge. So I said, all right, I'm on my way. I had to charge my phone. I'm on my way. Maybe 5 minutes before I get there, he sends me a picture that he's in the parking lot in the messenger. I get there, he's gone. I look around, nowhere to be found. I took a picture, sent it to him. So where you at?
Sounds like you guys are playing tag, right?
He's sergeant at arms. He's filthy few. Why'd he leave?
Did you ever try to transfer? Did anyone from any other charter like raise their hand for you?
Well, I was in the process of trying just before I got booted. And
But you
that I
can't
think
do that, right? Like once your charter, if you fuck up in your charter, you have to get
right,
approved to go somewhere else, right?
right. Yeah. And the stipulation was I had to get my patch out of the box and then I could transfer.
So if you would have
But I
got the
never got it
money,
back.
if you would have got the money from someone else.
Right.
So what happened with your bike? Did they want to take your bike?
No, I still got my bike
So how do you lose your license?
for reckless driving and whatnot on the bike, splitting lanes at fast, high speeds.
Because you brung it back from California, right?
My bike was here, but I learned it
No,
out there.
no, no. You brung the splitting the lanes back
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
California.
Right.
Yeah, and it doesn't work out so well, right?
No, not at all.
No, I don't think the East Coast. I don't think they
New
they
Hampshire
like
State,
that type
New
of
Hampshire
shit.
State Police don't like that very much at all.
No. So now that you're out of the club, how do you feel being out of the club?
I mean, it's been good. Like, I'm getting my life back. You know what I mean? Like, I'm slowly, I get, you know, it's been harder not having a license. You know what I mean? But I still maintain. You know what I mean? I still like I went to school for motorcycle mechanics. I completed that, but then I ended up losing my license. So then I haven't been able to do that. So I'm just waiting to get my license back so I can really get my life back together.
Did you lose your license after you got kicked out?
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I got kicked out, and 2 months after I got kicked out, I ended up losing my CDL for a year because of an accident I had because I had a CDL,
Damn.
and so I lost my money making job. I lost that for a year, and then March of this year, I lost my regular license for a year.
Can't get a work permit?
No, not in New Hampshire. The only way you can do that is if you've had a DWI. They let you do that, like you're like a Cinderella license.
Oh, reckless driving, no bueno. They ain't fucking with
No
you. Huh?
bueno. No.
No. I had a reckless driving. I was going 104 on the highway, and they're like, no, we don't give tickets on reckless driving. We give handcuffs. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. So, do you feel a sense of relief not being in the club?
I do, but I've been looking at another one to join
Yeah.
recently. Yeah.
Are you really thinking about joining another club?
Yeah. I've been talking to Harley.
Do you think you're gonna do it?
Free right there. Yeah.
Man, that would be cool. Do you think it would be a problem if you did that with the angels that are there?
I'd imagine it probably will be.
So,
But you know what? Come.
do you got other people that are with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be doing it alone, right?
No, it's actually someone called me. It was funny because I had reached out to Harley about starting a charter or whatever, get some guys together, and then I ended up getting a call from somebody I know that was in a support club, and he was already in the process of starting one.
Wow. You see how that works?
Yeah.
Now, is it automatic if you were to join that club? Is it automatic that you guys are beefing with the Hells Angels, or is there a possibility things could be okay?
I don't know. I don't know. I'd imagine yeah, I'd imagine it's not gonna be good because you know what I mean. It's guys that are all bad. You know what I mean. Just like they had the whole thing with the outlaws. The outlaws weren't supposed to take our guys, and we weren't supposed to take their guys. You know.
But it happened, right?
Yeah.
Were you in the club when they took someone from the Outlaws?
No, not when we never took anybody. They were taking somebody.
Oh, they took people from your club
They took
that were.
people from that were out bad from sport club.
Have you seen a lot of people get kicked out bad from your side, from the support club or your club?
Yeah, there's been a bunch.
What are some of the reasons why they would be kicked out?
I mean, like probably the biggest ones is like someone's messing around with somebody's old lady.
Isn't that a ass whooping too, though?
Yeah,
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to get away with that, especially
no,
that's like way crossing the line, man.
that's like rule number one.
100%. That's like these are your brothers. You don't quit your brother's girl, man.
I mean, you don't fuck with your buddy's girl. You know what I mean? Like
No,
that's dude code 101.
100%. So what's in store for the future for you, man?
Get my life back together. I'm gonna get my CDL back eventually, and just go on with life.
Do you have your family back in your life and things
I mean,
getting
I
better in that aspect?
so.
Do you think the club had a major role in the family not being so together?
Yeah, but that
Because
was on my part.
you have to dedicate a lot of time to the club, right?
You do, but a lot of guys are good with balance, and then there's guys that aren't. And I kind of went off the deep end and just didn't was paying more attention to the club when I should have been paying more attention to, you know what I mean? I should have been balancing it more. I shouldn't have been traveling as much. You know what I mean? I should have been home quite a bit more. You know what I mean?
What about traveling? What about your job? Like, it takes a lot of money to be in that club, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why driving a CDL was a good thing. There's a lot of brothers that own their own businesses. You know what I mean? So they can take time off and stuff.
Yeah.
It gets expensive.
Obviously, if you got booted out for money,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the guy Billy, you see, I interviewed him. He got booted out because there was a member's cut on the chair, and he was really close with this guy, and he knew there was money in the coat. He was gambling. He was under the influence, and he took the money and gambled it, and he thought he could put it back before he gets there. No, he
I
couldn't
didn't know
put it
about
back.
that. I never seen that. No.
Yeah, and he went up into his apartment, fell asleep. The member came back, found that the money was gone, freaked out, said someone stole my money. He called his girlfriend, had her bring the money, gave it to the member. He said everything was cool. And then they just all came into his apartment and said, "You stole from a member." And they beat the out of him.
Well, you
Burned his
don't do that.
burned his tattoos off with an iron.
No. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. It was a pretty dramatic exit compared to yours.
Yeah. Well,
You
I mean,
know?
I've heard horror stories. There was a brother. There was a brother I remember after I got the original tattoos, and we were at a I mean, I wasn't even a year in the club when I got the ones on my head, and a brother from another charter, he come up to me, he goes, "Don't worry, I got a if you ever get put out, I got a pneumatic sander with your name on it."
Oh man. Can
It
you
was like a
imagine?
joke, you know what I mean?
but it wasn't.
Well, they didn't take no pneumatic sander to my head.
No, but I mean, a lot of people end up getting out, get put out. Like you said, after you got the tattoos, they told you the lifespan of a member is what, 5 years, 3 to 5
Three and a
years.
half. 3.5.
Wow. And have you seen a lot of people come and go in the short time that you were with the club?
Oh yeah, even just as a prospect.
How many
When I in the
prospects?
1 year I was a prospect, there were prospects, there were members that were come and gone when I was in there. I mean, and I can't even count on my hands and feet.
They just try to make the cut and they just can't, right?
A lot of guys, they let it get to their head. I mean, there's prospects that don't make it, like because there's other charters that have stupid rules, or like there's a member at the table that just won't vote the guy in. I know a guy prospect the same time as me, and I mean he did almost 3 years, and then they let him go, or he walked off or something. I don't really know the whole story. I just know he was like 3 years in, and and then he wasn't around no more.
You need 100% of the vote, right?
Yeah,
One person can mess up your whole.
and that has to do with getting out too. Like those two brothers, they could have said something. Those two brothers told me, you know what I mean, that they'd give me the chance to leave versus being put out. They could have said something, but they didn't.
Yeah, but a lot of people follow with other people,
Yeah, there's clicks, big time.
Yeah, but
There's people that have pull.
yeah, that's with any group, right?
Right.
So even if you were able to stay in the club, would you have wanted to stay in the club, knowing that there were people that maybe didn't like you as much?
I was trying to go elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get into another charter, and that charter doesn't have the pull anymore on you. You know what I mean? It's up to the other charter. You know?
Where do you think you would have prospered out west? Like you would have did
I
better?
think so. Yeah, I think I would have done really well out there. To be honest, they didn't feel that way in my charter. They were trying to get me to change my decision and go to a charter on the East Coast, not the West Coast.
Oh, so they wanted you to go to a charter on the East Coast, somewhere else.
Right.
Like maybe
Yeah, they said it
Mass
was
or Connecticut or Maine, right?
well, like South Carolina, because I had talked about going to South Carolina in my earlier years when I first got in the club.
And what's it like in Laconia up there for a Hell's Angel when you're a member?
I mean, it can be tedious, you know what I mean? Especially, I mean, we host a run every year, you know what I mean? The Laconia is one of the runs for the East Coast, you know what I mean? So it's tedious. I mean, I had to be there every day for bike week every year.
Yeah, it didn't matter if you're a prospect or a member, right?
Pretty much. I mean, there's certain people get away with certain things, you know what I mean? Some people are under a microscope, other people aren't. You know what I mean? Some people are able to get away with not being there all the time, and then there's guys like me that I had to be there, or I couldn't get away with not being there.
Any wild things happen at Laconia?
Not really, not while I was there. Nothing
No?
crazy. I mean, there was stuff that happened years prior at some of the bigger runs, like the USA run / World run and stuff. You know what I mean? They had the run-ins that they had, but nothing crazy when I was there. I mean, there's too many cops. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? There's the 50 million cops.
Every time you put your feet down at a rally, the cops are there, right?
The cops are there, the feds are there, everybody.
Yeah, they don't fuck around, man. So, like you said, they're always watching you.
Always, 100%, always.
Even when you're riding by yourself, did you find that they'd be watching you and following you around?
I wouldn't say so much following me around, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely stick out, you know what I mean?
A little bit.
You know?
How's people's reaction when they meet you? When they met you when you had all the tattoos?
I mean, I still get stares. You know what I mean? And they're covered. You know what I mean? It's just having tattoos on my head, and I'm 6'2", 255. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not like a small dude walking around with tattoos on my head. I'm a bigger dude. So like, it's just I forget they're there, to be honest. Like You know what I mean? I don't look in the mirror every day. So, I mean, I forget they're there and I'll be looking and I'm like, what the fuck they staring at? And then people go, dude, look at your head.
People, I mean, it's getting more acceptable in life, right?
Yeah, it is, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Old ladies still grab their purse when they see you.
No. No.
After you not being in the club anymore, have the cops mess with you at all?
Oh, yeah.
Still?
Still, yeah. Well, I have a Fed profile.
From being in the club?
Yeah, and anytime they run my name or if they run my plate, it shows up. It shows up on their laptop. It says caution, gang affiliation, Hell's Angel member.
Even though you're out.
Even though I'm out. Yep.
Same thing happens with Pee Wee.
Yeah, I'm sure. It happens to all of us.
They pull guns on him and everything, man.
I got pulled. You're gonna laugh when you hear this. This was maybe a month or two ago, a couple months ago. It was when the weather was still kind of decent. I was riding my bicycle, my BMX bicycle, to a barber appointment, and I come up on a light, and there was a cop coming to turn left at the light, and it was a red light. They let me go through the red light. They took their left turn, they turned around, and they pulled me over for running a red light on a bicycle.
What?
I got pulled over on my BMX bicycle for running a red light. And
did they give you a ticket?
Well, they come at me and they wanted ID and I said I ain't got no ID. I have to give it to you or whatever. And they said, well, I need your name or whatever. So I had to give them my name and address and shit so they could remember my name and shit. And they were being dicks, so I was being a dick back on them. And I ended up getting hit with a disorderly, arrested, and brought me back to the police department. And in booking, I ended up kicking my shoes off in booking, and they said that one of my shoes hit one of the officers in the shin, and they're trying to charge me with simple assault for that.
What?
And I ended up spending the weekend in jail.
The whole weekend just for that?
Just for that, yep.
I got pulled over once for jaywalking. You believe that? They're like, come here. I'm like, for what? They're like, you didn't press the button when you cross the street. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. And they're like, no, come here. It was crazy.
But I ran a red light on my bicycle. And basically ended up getting arrested.
What ended up happening with that case? They threw it out, right?
No, I still got to go to court for it in a couple months. Yeah.
You're still going to court for it?
Yep.
So, did they put it in a newspaper?
I don't know if they did.
Probably. They probably said, Hell's Angel associate runs red light on bicycle.
I can only imagine. I haven't heard about anybody reading it, but
man, that's crazy. You got a wild story, man. And you're welcome on here anytime. Maybe we'll get you and some of the other guys on together. You guys can chop it up. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we go?
Harley, you're the man, bro. Keep doing what you're doing.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining me, man.
Right on, bro. Thanks for having me. Right on, bro.
If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this, it's too bad. Start your own podcast. Peace.
Peace.